Ladies and gentlemen, this is Edson Baeza from Cheap Pops Radio. And with the recent passings of Rocky Johnson, father of the Rock, Kobe Bryant, Gigi Bryant, and the other passengers of the helicopter, we want to tell you that although we are a comedy show, it tugs at our heartstrings that things like this happen in the world. We know we all have to go, but the only thing we can tell you is live life to your fullest, laugh your asses off, hopefully listening to this podcast, and love one another. Thank you.
Have been paid for by JMT Shirts.
It's your boy Jaime Martinez, and I am the owner of JMT Shirts. I have a large inventory of WWF, ECW, WCW, and hard to find shirts from Mexico and Japan. So if you can hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, and all the other Twitter at JMT Shirts and or Jaime Martinez. And if you can hit me up on those, hit my eBay store at JMT Shirts and go buy a shirt.
Buy the shirt. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're back here at Cheap Pops Radio. This is Thomas, the Hitman Barnes. I'm here with Edson Baeza.
Man, I feel like I need some sleep, bro.
And we're coming at you from 403 Kayfabe Street in Tomball, Texas.
I don't know why you stuttered. You should be very familiar with that street.
I don't know why I stuttered either. But, let's get straight into it. Let's get straight into the talk. Let's talk about Houston and the hatred our Houston Astros are getting around Major League Baseball. They are the legit bad guys.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Once you go to the top, once you taste the gold, once you become the number one team, everyone comes after you. They come gunning after you. And, we're a wrestling podcast. Everyone knows this. And I think that they just had their heel turn, my friend. I think that after being eat your vitamins and drink your milk Hogan, now they're NWO guitar blaring Hogan. And I'm okay with that, personally.
And you see, and that's the thing, too. They were like the feel-good team in the playoffs. You know what I mean? And that's important to stress And then you come now, and it's like they are the bad guys. Like you've got the LA reliever Cody Bellinger saying he would actually throw at the Astros because of the cheating scandal.
Let him try. Let him try that here. Let him try that at home. Cody Bellinger's a bitch, first of all, because he had a horrible World Series against the Astros. I mean, if you're a horrible baseball player, don't be talking shit. You know, the World Series was won in LA, Game 7, and we beat the shit out of them, 5-1. I remember.
Well, if you look at last year in the playoffs, you want to talk about sign stealing? The Astros, I believe, in the World Series didn't win a game at home. I think all their wins are on the road.
Yeah, so all that doesn't add up. You know, obviously in the World Series, that was the first World Series in history where a home team didn't win a game. So, yeah, so to people's point, it's like your story's not adding up. The details, the evidence is not adding up. But people always want to talk about something. And right now, what they want to talk about is a team that won a championship that supposedly they didn't earn. But hey, the games are played on the field, and I remember them earning it, you know.
Well, you know, also too, you talk about that. You know, MLB, obviously they found him guilty. You know, the manager gone, general manager gone, fired. You know, you brought in Dusty Baker, like, you know, former San Francisco Giants manager. He's been a manager in a lot of different cities and done a lot of great things. So things are kind of looking up, but how do you think it's going to go? You know, you've got these lawsuits pending. Even a fan, an actual season ticket holder, sued the Astros for the last 3 years worth of the season tickets.
Yeah. Well, first of all, before I go into that, I want to see Dusty Baker's kid run into the field like a bat boy again for a bat. Except now he's like 20. And see what happens now.
You know, when I think of Dusty Baker, I think about all the time that he spent with Barry Bonds. You know, back it was, the Giants were really good. Jeff Kent.
JT Snow.
Yes.
Oh, I'm bringing back those names.
You're bringing up those memories. And they had a lot of good years. Like that one year Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire were chasing for the home run title. Mm-hmm. You know, Dusty Baker was the manager at that time.
Yeah. I mean, Dusty's got history, and if you look at the talent right now, I looked at a list the other day that listed the top talents in Major League Baseball, and the Astros to this point, they still have about 10 players that are in the top 30 of Major League Baseball. So if people are thinking that this is some kind of decline, that this is people's chance in the American League, mainly the Yankees, to sneak in and fucking win, you're going to have to play those games on the field. And sign stealing or no sign stealing, your odds aren't looking good for you.
Well, you know what I like about the Dusty Baker hire is he's high profile. Mm-hmm. They responded to all this negativity with signing a high-profile manager that has a good reputation. And I think that's the way that they should have gone. I don't think there's a better guy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the guy's squeaky clean. I mean, I don't know who the actual candidates, who they all are or who they all had in mind. But once I heard Dusty Baker was, pegged to be the manager, I was like, that looks good. They could have brought Joe Blow, some guy who probably was in the Red Sox, coaching staff, the Yankees coaching staff. They could have brought someone squeaky clean to start all over, but with Dusty, it doesn't have that feeling of we're rebuilding, we're starting over, we're starting from scratch.
And a lot of the Houston fans, they wanted, Jeff Bagwell or Craig Biggio. You know what I mean? But for this circumstance, that would have been a bad start for them. That's something you think about later on. But in this instance, you don't want an Astros guy coming into the situation. You want a guy from the outside that's been in San Francisco, that's played with quality teams, and say, hey, look, I'm a high-profile manager. We've got a great team. We're going to turn around the attitude. We're going to do better. We apologize for, the franchise's mistakes in the past. You know what I mean? And we're going to move on. And I think the Astros made a mistake, too, when they did the press conference last week, where they took a little bit of the blame, but it was kind of like a half-ass apology.
Well, to your point on that last one, from what I've heard from Correa and other people, Altuve wasn't involved. Altuve hated the trash can banging to the extent of getting angry after at-bats because he would hear the trash can. So for him to go up in front of the press and actually admit to something that he didn't want to be part of, or likely wasn't even a part of, I think that shows more of a man that I want to deal with than anything, because he's taking blame for something that he wasn't even really involved in. And we'll never know. I mean, we could possibly, but I mean, okay, Major League Baseball did their investigations, and it wasn't like they said, oh, you know what, Jose Altuve was involved. They didn't say that. You know, they said the Astros knew. They said Cora was, you know, Cora.
Alex Cora,
Alex Cora was the mastermind. Then Alex Cora went on to win a World Series with the Red Sox. So obviously, you know, why aren't we speaking about the Red Sox?
Hey, Carlos Beltran got thrown under the bus on that thing too.
Yeah.
Because they kind of made it out. Well, he's the veteran. You know, it's hard to look up to him and tell him no because of the time he's putting this ball, in the business of baseball.
Quality player also, like at the end of his career, but he was here in the 05 World Series. You know, with Clemens and Pettit.
Back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, and again Jeff Kent.
4-game sweep.
Yeah, so to just say, hey, you know what? Just because you're the veteran, the guy is a skilled player. His career was ending, but he wanted that ring. You know, he wanted that elusive ring that many people don't get. And I'm not gonna sit here and condone cheating, but hey, like Eddie Guerrero said, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Well, that's the thing. There's always been cheating in every major sport, and as long as there are major sports where men play or women play, you know, there's gonna be cheating.
Yeah.
You know, there's cheating in the MMA. There's cheating in boxing. You see, I didn't mean to hit him under the belt, but you know it happens.
I mean, these men cheat on their women, but yet they're gonna talk shit about the Astros banging trash cans. They're over there banging other chicks, talking shit.
That was actually a real good analogy.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, you know, whoever has their hands clean cast the first stone, and ain't that many people out there that ain't cheating at something. You know what I'm saying? Even at work. You know, you cheat a few hours here and there. You know, you have your buddy clock you in and out. Things like that. But, hey, let's talk about the Astros because you know what? They're mainstream. And I can wash my hands off of anything like that, off of my pathetic life, you know, that nobody gives a shit about.
Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we're going to take a break right here on Cheap Pops Radio. We've got UPW's Bart Harris coming on later. We'll be right back.
What's up, everybody? This is UFC President Dana White, and you're listening to the Cheap Pop Radio.
Hey, Larry, it's Thomas. Hey, bro. Hey, okay, so this is what I'm going to need from you. Like, I'm interviewing, a wrestling promoter this week. I just need something like 2 minutes, funny.
Wait a minute. See, you always want to call me when you need a favor.
No,
Truth be told, I like you. I like Ed Song. But look, I'm sick of coming on this show at least once or twice a month and not getting over.
Well, Larry, I mean...
Now, you have one of the top podcast shows out there, and I'm appreciative to you.
But Larry,
Thomas. I'm going to call you Thomas. Forget the Thomas.
Okay, Larry, let me break it down for you. I mean, it's not your job to get over. Your job is to make me look good. I'm on the cover. I'm on the graphic.
I'm trying to get on the cover. You bring me on I've been part of this show for a long time now.
Well,
I'm sick of it.
You're definitely not going to get on the cover talking like this.
Let me tell you, man, I'm just trying to get over.
Look, brother. How many times have I put your mother over?
You fat sack of shit. I'm sick of you. You know what?
Hey.
I'm on my way to Houston. No, you know what? I'm tired of this.
Calm down.
I'm going to sit up here and gave y'all all this good time. You know what? No. Larry, no. Shut the fuck up. Let me tell you something. I'm on my way right now.
Larry, calm down. Larry. Piece of fucking shit, motherfucker. Fuck.
Saturday morning, jumped out of bed and put on my best suit. Got in my car, raced like a jet all the way to you. Knocked on your door with heart in my hand to ask you a question, 'cause I know that you're an old-fashioned man. Yeah. Can I have your daughter for the rest of my life? Say yes, 'cause I need to know. You say I'll never get your blessing till the day I die. Tough love, my friend, but the answer is no. Why you gotta be so rude? Don't you know I'm voice, standing at that altar. Oh, we will run away to another guy to say you know she's in love with me. She will go anywhere I go. Can I have your daughter for the rest of my life? Say yes, 'cause I need to know. You say I'll never get your blessing till the day I die. Tough luck, my friend, 'cause the answer's still no. Why you gotta be so rude? Don't you know I'm human too? Why you gotta be so rude? I'm gonna marry you anyway. Marry that girl. Marry you anyway. Marry that girl. No matter what you say. Marry that girl. And we'll be a family. Why you gotta be so Can I have your daughter for the rest of my life? Say yes, 'cause I need to know. You say I'll never get your blessing till the day I die. Tough luck, my friend, but no still means no. Why you gotta be so rude? Don't you know I'm human too? Why you gotta be so rude? I'm gonna marry you anyway. Marry that girl. Marry you anyway. Marry that girl. No matter what you say. Marry that girl. And we'll be a family. Why you gotta be so rude? Yeah. Why you gotta be so rude? Why you gotta be so rude?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're back here on Cheap Pops Radio. Now, let's get into another Houston team, Edson. Let's get into the XFL. Let's get into the Houston Roughnecks.
Wait, like get into them, like into their pants, or what
No. We're not doing the 403 spot. The 403 spot's later.
I just have to clarify because you're a weird one.
Yeah, no, we're actually talking about, XFL football, the second generation.
Are we talking he hate me or what?
No, that's the first generation.
Are we over he hate me?
Yeah, that's the first generation, because I think the second generation is going to be built around the roughneck quarterback, PJ Walker, who's really, and it's only been 2 games, granted. So, there's not longevity to it. But in the first 2 weeks of football, I've watched all the games. He was the one that was the most explosive.
Well, that dude, they had a graphic earlier. I don't know if you saw it. I don't know where I saw it, but they showed all the XFL teams and how many touchdown passes they have. PJ Walker has more touchdown passes than every team. That dude is balls out. I mean,
He's magic.
He played under Andrew Luck in the NFL. Sadly, I think that the XFL will become, ironically, the NXT of the NFL, where a guy flourishes and then the NFL snatches him up. So I see PJ Black, having one great season here in the XFL, and I don't think they're locked down in long-term contracts in the XFL because they can't afford to do that.
But you also got to think it's ran by a guy who understands competition probably better than anyone. Because he was almost put out of business by Ted Turner.
We're talking about Vince McMahon, okay? Because there's a couple people that you could say are running the XFL. Vince McMahon is obviously the owner, the proprietor.
Vince McMahon, the owner.
Yeah.
He knows at some point he's going to have to spend money to keep these guys here.
At some point, but that's a long ways away because I saw attendance figures this week, and even though they were up, the attendance equaled around 80,000. When you think about that, that sounds great for the first 2 weeks, but the New York Giants put 80,000 in one game in their stadium.
Well, they play in a lot bigger stadiums, too.
No, there's a New York team that plays at MetLife. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, they have a long way to go because you have 2 weeks where the total number of fans attending is 150, roughly.
So that was the total for every single game was 80,000.
80,000 because TDCU had I think like 15,000, but then there was a game in Seattle that had 22 to 24,000. It's a huge number of fans, but they've got a long way to grow. But what I did see is I haven't watched every game like you because I now have a family and I have no time. I say that proudly, but I watched the Houston games, which both happened to be at home, and the attendance looked like way bigger in the second game than it did the first game. It was very noticeable, and I also noticed a ridiculous fan in the front row that highly resembled Jerry fucking River.
Jerry fucking River, one of the original Cheap Pop hosts.
Was that son of a bitch at the XFL game?
That son of a bitch was in the front row in sunglasses, kind of looking like a porn star in hiding.
Huh. Well, anyway, not to veer off the subject, I do like the XFL. I like the the gameplay. You get lost in it sometimes. You don't even realize you're watching a secondary football league.
Oh no, it's fun.
PJ's passes are. I know we're on his balls, but he's good. PJ's passes are crisp. But he's thrown some very difficult balls that I've seen in the NFL not be caught. And I've seen some XFL receivers with some hands on them, man.
Oh, yeah.
These guys know that this is a second chance at something, Now, it's been said in a press conference last Thursday that the first XFL championship will be hosted by the city of Houston. Were you aware?
Yes, I did see that. And I think it's great. And I think the Houston fans... Because when you watch all the games, some of this, like, the Wildcat game, I watched the Wildcats yesterday. The fans there, in California, they weren't as loud as, say, the fans in Houston. Mm-hmm. The fans in Dallas were good, because I actually watched both Dallas and Houston.
The Renegades.
I lived in Dallas for a while. Actually, Madison was born in Dallas. Trivia fact. But, it's like the fans, some cities, but in Houston, they were into it. They were fire. They were having fun. There was that one game, it wasn't in Houston, but the fans actually took all the, the plastic beer cups and made like a dragon out of them.
That was Seattle, because they're the Dragons.
Yeah, so it's like, it's like a wrestling kind of environment in the stands while watching a football game, and I dig it.
And the good thing about it is they went completely legit. From the announcers to the sideline reporters, it's all legit people. Not to take anything away from the first inception, but why is Jerry the King Lawler calling a football game?
You're right.
Why is Jim Ross calling a football game?
And the production is amazing.
Yeah.
The production for XFL games on Fox, ABC, it's as good as when they're doing the NFL.
It's definitely as good as a college football game.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I'll turn on like a random Kansas State versus Kansas game, and these games, when I'm watching them, it reminds me of that. And college football is very lucrative, so that networks put a lot of money into them, so they're not giving you shit.
Oh, it's like for me, I've always hated watching football games on CBS.
Yeah.
I think Fox, and NBC and ABC, when they did football, they always put so much more into it. Like, you watch a football game like the Texans always play on CBS. Mm-hmm. You watch them and it doesn't have all the color. I don't know if it's the cameras they use or the technology.
You recall back in the 90s? Yeah, and to speak on another sport, like when NBA was on NBC, and you used to hear that.
Yeah.
Now the NBA is all over, like TNT, ESPN. It doesn't feel the same. You're right. There's certain networks that just get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a certain trick.
What's her name?
that's for a different day.
Oh, okay.
But there's a certain thing, and like CBS to me, sports wise, has never got it. Like WWE back in the day, WWF looked great on ABC. Saturday night's main event.
Even in the recent inceptions, like in 2010, 2011.
It's always looked good on NBC, and I think Fox is learned over the years, because they've always got the World Series. Mm-hmm. They have the Super Bowl. I think it's every other year. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They've learned through trial and error over years and years how to make these sports and present them to us at home.
Yeah, somebody did their homework. Not one person, but they had some good meetings, and they said, how are we going to make this, I don't know, like a feast for the fan to watch? Something that they can go, to their buddy's house and say, man, you got to watch the XFL because this is what's going on. The gameplay, the 3-point conversion. I mean, you can get 9 points You can get 9 points in one score. So it's like in the NFL, you already have a mindset of, okay, I'm down 16-8. I can, score the touchdown and then the 2 points and we tie. Well, in this one, you can be like, well, shit, I can actually win the game. And I think in the XFL, I haven't seen it yet, but somebody could be nuts enough to be like, let's just fucking go for the win. Maybe they were losing the whole game. Maybe it was a 16-0 game the whole way. Then they got it to 16-8, and they're like, you know what? We were out of this shit. Now let's just fucking go win it.
No, it changes, and the way they do the 2-minute warning. They speed up the times. Mm-hmm. The clock doesn't just stop.
Yeah.
They avoid having people run out the clock.
Yep.
They want more action.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the rules they use, I think it's going to catch on. And I think it's going to be a lot more fun than the NFL. Because I haven't had fun watching the NFL in like 2 years, to be honest.
And to be honest, I think that you're, super excited about the XFL because it's been a long time since you've looked into my eyes the way you're looking into them right now. Can we get some candles and some Cabernet Sauvignon over here?
Spaghetti and some Chihuahua.
XFL getting us all romantic over here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be back, and we're going to talk to Mr. Bart Harris, the owner and promoter of UPW.
You said it was Bart Simpson.
Fuck.
This is your favorite artist, Ryan Shaw with Cartoon U. Your place for custom art, cartoons, fan art, wrestling art, caricatures, and logos. Make your biz pop with some awesome art, or just give it as a cool gift. Check me out on Twitter at cartoon_u, Facebook at cartoonu, my website cartoon-u.com. Use promo code CHEAPPOPS19 at checkout for 15% off your order. Oh yeah!
It's been 7 hours and 15 days since you took your love away. I go out every night and sleep all day since you took your love away. Since you've been gone, I can do whatever I want. I can see whomever I choose. I can eat my dinner in a fancy restaurant, but nothing can take away these blues. 'Cause nothing compares to you. It's been so lonely without you here, like a bird without a song. Nothing can stop these lonely tears from falling. Tell me, baby, where did I go wrong? I can put my arms around every boy I see, but they only remind me of you. I went to the doctor and guess what he told me? He said, boy, you better try to have fun no matter what you do. But he's a fool, 'cause nothing compares to you. Come on! Woo! All the flowers that you planted, mama, in the backyard, all died when you went away. I know that living with your baby was sometimes hard, but I'm willing to give it another try. Nothing compares to you. Nothing compares to you. Nothing compares.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Cheap Pops Radio. And we've got UPW promoter Bart Harris. What's going on, Mr. Bart?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Glad to be on.
Oh man, it's a pleasure to have you. And you have kind of taken Houston wrestling by surprise. A year and a half ago, UPW wasn't even really thought about, and then now you're kind of drawing more than everybody else. You got a lot of people's attention. You know what I mean? You kind of came out of nowhere.
Well, yeah, we really have come out of the gate strong, and we hope to keep pushing momentum forward. A real big thing about UPW is we're trying to work with as many local promotions as we can. Scout talent from everybody, and if they'll let us use their guys, we'd love to have them on our show. It really, really adds to how good our shows turn out. We got a lot of great talent, a lot of good people on board.
Yeah, Bart, this is Edson. I haven't been to one of your shows yet, but obviously, with social media, you get to see, how you guys are drawing. You get to see the matches. I get to see that Silverback Nate Slater is your title holder. And I look at that guy and I'm like, man, that's a guy that you want to put on a poster. That's a guy that when you come to a town like, Dickinson or wherever you may be, when people aren't too familiar with the talent, they look at that and they're like, man, you know what? I want to see that. So my question to you right now is, what's the formula, or is there a formula that you're trying to achieve when you book certain talent, to your shows right now?
Yeah, actually, the formula I go with is I want the guys in the crowd to look at the talent on my shows and kind of in their head think, that's the guy I don't want to mess with. There's a lot of great talent in wrestling right now. There is some unbelievable talent. A lot of guys that are, in my opinion, a little undersized that really deliver in the ring. But to get that, that believability sometimes, I think, you just have to have a guy that is, larger than life, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. Back in the 80s, a perfect example, those guys were larger than life. They weren't on Twitter or Facebook crying about their girl leaving them. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, there was a code in the business. We didn't. Nobody put business out in public back in those days. It was everything was handled behind the scenes.
You see, Thomas?
You're talking about the old days, which brings up something is something Edson mentioned. Something a lot of people are outspoken for, and it's kind of good to get an opinion. Back in the day, like kayfabe was like a really big, huge thing, but now the industry leaders, WWE, AEW, they don't follow it. So how do you feel about that?
To be honest, I think that my personal opinion, and my opinion means about as much as any other fan, as this goes, but WWE is sports entertainment, they like to call it. To me, they have probably the deepest roster, the best roster in the business, but everything is so overly produced. As far as the kayfabe though, I wish, and I still kayfabe people, I wish other people did. It's to be honest, I would like wrestlers to keep the business in the business as much as possible. Sometimes, you can't, but sometimes, you give out too much. You know what I mean?
No, I totally get it.
Yeah, Bart, I'm 37 years old. I'm not neither too young or too old, but man, it's like, these posts get me, like the aftermatch, I want to thank so-and-so for, being such a great sport, or I loved working with so-and-so, and I'm like, man, you just told the crowd you hate that guy's guts, and then you go in on Facebook and tell them thank you.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the thank you for a great match, brother, and we tore the house down tonight. That kind of stuff, I would like people to, of course, these guys are on each other's friends list and everything too, so that, that kind of gives away a little bit, but if somebody's in a cage match, I would love to do a cage match or a death match with this guy, and no, to me, I would, especially if I was a heel, no, I'm not doing a cage match with him. What are you, crazy? That would be kind of my take on things. Guys are too eager to thank people and to put over their buddies, and it's a business. Each guy should be putting themselves over as much as possible.
Yeah, the old, I had a tough match with so and so. They really brought it, but I came out on the losing end this time. I'll get their ass next time. To me, that makes of a bigger point than thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in total agreement on that.
And now we're going to stay back in those old days, and we're going to talk about kind of the backbone of UPW is kind of the foundation is a lot of the old guard Texas All-Star Wrestling guys. You got Johnny Blade, Iron Mike. Yourself was involved with Bob Murphy back in the day, as me and Edson still are.
Yes, sir.
Talk about those days. Because ultimately that's where you came from, and kind of give us some insight.
Yeah, I started with Texas All-Star probably in 1997. And I felt extremely fortunate to get my foot in the door with them when I did. They were probably 2 or 3 years old, I guess, at that point, and they were really starting to move up. I mean, nothing but respect for Bob, and he's always run great shows. Was just straight up guy to work for. No complaints on my end about that. Back in those days, though, Texas All-Star had the biggest guys around. They had humongous, Tank Tyler, the Rasta Savage, John 9.9, Brother Icarus. They had guys that even the big guys now, like Silverback Nate Slater, would have been, about average, I would say, with their roster back in the days. I would, at 5'10" and 260, I was a small guy back in those days.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Well, nowadays their announcers are that exact size. Yeah.
So you trained, what was it like training under Texas All-Star Wrestling?
Well, I worked out with Texas All-Star. I broke in the business with Al Walker in '95. Kind of untrained, it was a different time back then. But
You backyarder?
yeah, we did a lot of backyard wrestling when I was a kid, and it's looked down on now. But back in those days, we weren't doing the barbed wire and the light tubes and any of that stuff. We were trying to actually wrestle and watch. We used to watch VHS tapes of matches and put them in slow-mo to see how things worked and, try to emulate what we saw. We tried to, I was a big fan of Ricky Steamboat and Lord Steven Regal, or William Regal now. I love the technical style myself, so, I was never good at it, but, I like to emulate and try to get as good as I could, that way. But, getting into the wrestling business was a whole nother thing. But yeah, Texas All-Star, we were trained in the back of the old Humboldt Bingo Hall, and that was, during the summer it was a sweat box, and during the winter it would freeze you to death just about. It was great. Good times.
So tell me, what was it like dealing with Iron Mike and Johnny Blade back in the day?
Well, me and Johnny go way back together. Iron Mike came into Texas All-Star probably right before I did, and at the very beginning, he was a really good talker and a decent worker, and Johnny, was a great talker and a pretty good worker himself. They were actually put into a program together for a little while, and they worked well together, and they ended up teaming up. So, it was always fun running the roads with those guys too. Everybody was always the road trips were great. You know, lots of fun.
So let's flash forward, to modern day times now, and so tell me, what was your thought process when it came to building up UPW, and like what made you start it? You've already got Texas All-Star Wrestling here, Reality of Wrestling, which is actually right next to you. You know what I mean? You got DZW, RWR. There's all these companies. What made Bart Harris say, you know what, I'm going to compete with these guys, I'm going to do my thing, and I'm going to do the best I can? Like, how did that start?
How did you become so fearless?
Okay. Yeah, so basically when I broke into the business, I studied everybody. I'm a constant studier. I watch and I learn from everybody, whether it be good or bad. I watch what people do that works, and I watch what people do that doesn't work, and I just keep a mental catalog of all this. And to be honest, I had been around wrestling off and on up till about 2014, and then I kind of took a break for a while. And when I came back around, I noticed that the crowds were small, and there was in Houston, there were two camps of wrestlers. There were kind of the Texas All-Star guys and the Tugboat Taylor guys. And I've actually worked with both camps and have friends on both sides. And I just wanted to try to build a bridge for Houston. Dallas has cross-promotional shows, Talent Works, different places. San Antonio's kind of got the same thing. Laredo's kind of got the same thing. I want Houston to be considered the forefront of Texas wrestling. I mean, we've got, reality wrestling down the road that produces guys that go to the WWE. We've got Texas All-Star, who, in my opinion, put out great talent. DZW's trained several good kids that are making their way up. RWR is bringing in all kinds of people. Houston's got a great wrestling scene, but nobody was working together. So I wanted to go out and grab a guy from DZW and a guy from All-Star and a guy from Hurricane and a guy from wherever I could get him, and bring him and put him on the same show, because like I say, somebody had to throw out an olive branch to everybody, and that's what I'm trying. What I tried to do, and there's a lot of guys that I felt, starting out that still had stuff to contribute to the business that weren't getting used anywhere else. So I wanted to give them a shot to kind of get their foot back in the door as well.
So Bart, speaking on the same, subject, and this is not a tooting our own horn kind of thing, but I want to get your opinion. We recently, Cheap Pops Entertainment held the Rumble in the Garden Royal Rumble weekend in downtown Houston, and we showcased your UPW championship, with Silverback Nate Slater defending against really one of the hottest prospects right now anywhere in Texas, Adrian Stone. And speaking on what you're speaking on, that's what we wanted to do. So we brought Texas All-Star together. We brought Hurricane Pro together. So we want to know, if you have an opinion on, how you viewed the UPW title match being displayed, and also maybe something on the event.
You know what? It thrills me to have the UPW championship defended on high-profile events like that. Y'all guys killed it out there, and I'm super proud for you. And that's the thing is, if you look at 2019, Nate Slater defended the UPW title, I believe, twice at Texas All-Star. He defended once at our good friends at Fearless Wrestling. He defended at Boneyard Wrestling. He defended multiple places besides UPW. So, to me, it just lends credibility to us that other people would like to have our champion on their show. And I appreciate that all the chance to get our brand out in front of everybody as well. We kind of stick around the south side of Houston as of now, but I would love for my brand to be seen all over the Houston market and eventually even further out,
So let's talk about the difference in fans at UPW versus everywhere else. Because your fans are like 1980s wrestling fans. They're not on the internet. They're not smart marks. They're not looking for like a bunch of guys that are just jumping around, landing on their necks. Your fans really pride themselves and love the heat of wrestling, the story part of wrestling.
Yeah, they, like I say, the pro wrestling fans are the greatest fans in the world. If you present them something to love, they will show up. As long as you don't run them off with just garbage stories, and we're kind of seeing on the national scene right now the numbers that draw on TV. I think a lot of that is probably because TV is just more or less a dying industry. But, the numbers are way down from, say, the late 90s. And I think a lot of it is that people just, they want to see action. They want to see something, and they're not being given what they want. If that makes sense. Like, you go to a show, you go to a movie, you don't want to think, oh, there's the director of the movie telling somebody how to do his part right in the middle of the movie. You just want to see the movie and for a while let go of all your other problems, your bills, everything. At UPW, that's what we're about. Is we have big guys that are believable, hard-hitting action. We have cruiserweights that are killing it out there. We have good tag teams, managers. We have everything. A little bit of everything for everybody, and I think that helps keep and get our fans. I think we have more of just a slice of the general public than some shows that just have the smart fans, that follow everything on the dirt sheets and on the internet. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud that we're getting the general public in.
So what I'm getting from you, Bart, and let's see if you get the reference, any wrestler out there that wants to be a wrestler and wants to stay a star and don't have to worry about the booker being in all the videos, all the records, come to UPW. Isn't that right?
Well, like I say, I personally try to stay out of the spotlight, as much as possible. At my shows, you'll see me every once in a while carry a belt to the ring to, hand to the referee and give to the winner of the match. But I don't want to be the storyline. I don't want to be the big heel or the big, whatever. I'm the guy at the front door helping my wife collect ticket money. I just want to be on the sidelines. I'm not really a part of the show. You know what I mean? That's another thing is that I don't direct and tell people how to do everything. I give a lot of leeway and freedom to a lot of the guys where maybe other places are more produced and more, it has that, like, I hate to say practiced feel to a lot of stuff. And at UPW, I'm not about that. I much prefer guys to go out there and things to happen organically, I think that helps with the crowd buying into it.
And before we let you go, why don't you go ahead, put over the UPW social media, your social media, tell us where UPW is coming up next.
Okay, we've got Saturday night, March 7th, Santa Fe, Texas at Barnett, the Barnett Gym, right across the street from HEB. With doors open at 7 o'clock, we should have 7 big matches that night. All 3 UPW championships will be on the line. And then May 15th, we will be back in Bay Cliff, Texas at the Fire Department Pavilion. Those are our 2 bases right now. We're looking to expand, so keep your eyes open. Hopefully we'll be moving into new markets soon.
Gotcha, and we really appreciate you coming on the show. We appreciate you, giving us the honor, of presenting your championship at Rumble in the Garden. We thank you for that. We thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank y'all for having me on, and thank you for, like I say, putting UPW on such a high-profile show. We appreciate getting out there, like I say, in front of new crowds, and it just helps us, and if it helps them, helps us. That's a win-win. So we really appreciate it down here too. Thank you very much.
Well, Bart, I'm not as disappointed as I was earlier. I thought we were interviewing Bart Simpson, but this turned out way better.
Well,
Have a good one, man.
I've only heard that one for about 30 years now.
Talk to you later, buddy.
Take care, Mr. Harris.
All right, thank y'all.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And we'll be right back here on Cheap Pops Radio, sponsored by JMT Shirts and Cartoon U.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Edson Baeza here on Cheap Pops Radio, sponsored by JMT Shirts.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back here at Cheap Pops Radio. Thomas, the Hitman Bards, Edson Baeza. We've had a great show.
You know, Bart Harris, man, that dude, there's a lot in that head. There's a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of, good verbiage. I really enjoyed him coming on and showing a little bit of that Texas side of pro wrestling, because we come from the Texas All-Star, from the Main Event Pro, from the Lions Pride, but showing I want to say an upstart company that's already established because, man, their crowds are big.
No, they're big. Bart Harris understands how to treat his employees. And one thing, and I'm going to say it, he's probably going to get mad at me for saying it, but this man literally gives you a thank you card for working for him. Everybody has a job. The people that are listening, they've got a regular job. You know what I mean? We've got regular jobs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, when you go to work and you feel appreciated, that makes you happy.
You know what makes me sad?
What makes you
Somewhere in the world there is a thank you Brent card in the trash can somewhere.
Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
But Bart Harris, he's a great guy. He's a good guy to work for. He makes you feel appreciated. Because at the end of the day, it's your hard work and you're doing it for you. But he's, taking care of you for doing that work.
It's a guy that today, when he spoke to us and he spoke of Rumble in the Garden as a high-profile show, he said that twice. I don't take stuff for granted. I respect the hell out of Bart, and for Bart to view the little thing we did like that was one of those, moments where it almost broke me, I mean, thank you, Bart. That's all I can say. Thank you.
And before I go, I want to touch on kind of a lighthearted thing.
Okay.
Which actually, it applies to us. Baby Yoda. A resident, he's the Brock Lesnar of Cheap Pops Radio. He only shows up 4 times a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Baby Yoda comes over and gets drunk on the chocolate milk. The chicken nuggies are like LSD.
Chicken nuggies and chalky milk.
You know what? But Baby Yoda on the Mandalorian is gonna have a new co-host. Or a co-actress, let me say.
Oh, you're talking about the boss?
Sasha Banks, the boss.
Yeah, I saw that briefly. Is that true?
That is true. WWE and Star Wars are, meeting for the first time, I believe.
That is quite the empire striking.
That is.
That's huge.
I mean, that takes me back in the day when WWE met Star Trek, and The Rock actually, one of his very first, appearances as an actor was on Star Trek Voyager back in the WWE UPN days.
Wait, you went from Star Wars to Star Trek? Do you want to start a fucking riot?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Well, 2020, there's a lot of the 1990s nostalgia in 2020.
Yeah, for sure.
Hootie and the Blowfish back in the 90s was one of the biggest bands around. They released an album. Green Day, another 90s kind of big band, they released an album this year. Yeah. You know what I mean? You've got Captain Picard. Back to Star Trek. Captain Picard's back. Jerry Ryan. Mm-hmm. She's back. So,
she hit you up on Twitter, bro.
Yeah, she hit me up on Twitter.
Get you that like.
All the hot chicks like us on Twitter, bro.
And John Cena follows us. Although you can't see his follow, but he follows us. Actually, you can see it. But going back...
And he follows us both separately as well.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah. Going back to the George Lucas and Vince McMahon thing, how do you think a meeting like that goes down in a jacuzzi at a Four Seasons hotel, or what the hell?
Vince probably takes him, per Scott Hall. The guys Vince really likes. And Scott Hall said it while he was drunk.
Yeah.
But the guys that Vince really likes, like the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan, get to sit in front of his fireplace on that magic rug. And who knows what happens on that magic rug?
I don't want to know.
But George Lucas is like, take my baby.
Yeah.
How about Sasha Banks?
It's like put El Torito versus Baby Yoda in a Hell in a Cell match.
This is like, take it. Take it.
Man, old Vinnie Mac. Well, I'll tell you what, man. This was one heck of a show. In a day of appreciation, I'm appreciative for people still listening to us. You know, we're just a couple guys that were front row just 8 years ago, and now we're here, which is kind of crazy. You know, we've ran a wrestling show, we've got a podcast, we've got... What do we have coming up? I want you to say, you said you were going to plug it.
We've got the comic book.
Yeah, see, I'm setting you up.
Yeah, Cheap Pop's Investigations.
Mm-hmm. CPI.
CPI, Year 1, Issue 1 debuts April 1st, April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
And a lot of you are going to think we're joking, but we're really going to drop a comic book on April Fool's Day.
When you were 10, did you ever envision this?
No. Yeah, to be honest, no.
I'll be in the wrestling business and I'll be a comic book
Well,
figure.
when I was 10, I was watching the things that inspire the stories that we tell on a weekly basis on every platform that we're lucky enough to be staged on.
I'll suck your dick.
I'll suck your dick. You know, the comic book is going to be based on, an alternate reality Cheap Pops universe where we all get tired of our shoot jobs. We start a private detective agency. Mm-hmm. And at some point, we run afoul of some vampires and some demons and some werewolves.
Man, you're giving it all the way, all the good stuff.
You got to give it all away. But look out for that April Fool's Day.
The characters, we got to start with the dog. Fuchi
Fuchi
will be there.
Which, Fuchi, we got that name from, it's because it's stinky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which
You're telling the Mexican what Fuchi is?
Yeah, well
like, I don't know what the fuck that is.
Sometimes.
I'm slow?
Sometimes.
I'm the best speaker on this damn show.
I was trained by Sasha Banks.
English is my second language.
It's my first.
Okay. Yeah.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen.
Wait, you're just gonna leave it at Fuchi? You're not gonna talk about, $20 man?
No, we don't talk about the $20
man. Did you feature Endeavor him? Did I see that?
Yeah, actually, I feature Endeavor.
No, we've got to talk about this. This is not a done deal. Okay.
Dude, the health department shut down the studio yesterday because the neighbors were complaining about the stench.
You sure it wasn't one of your 403s that farted?
No.
Okay.
No.
Shout out to all the 403s that have left their dreams in that bed that I can see from here.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we'll definitely see you next week here on Cheap Pops Radio, sponsored by JMT Shirts and Cartoon You.
Yeah, I'm only down for the interim. Later you see me on the internet. Lay out this down, lay out this down, and let him drown in the
Sauce, baby, coolin' on the block, and we down for some ignorance. No love to the odds, cause we down for some ignorance. I just bought a Glock, cause I'm down for some ignorance. My mans just got popped, now I'm down for some ignorance. Spring fuck the police if you down for some ignorance. Turn up on CBD if you down for some ignorance. Falling right around, and you know they with the shit. Might pull up on your block, let it blow in this bitch. Get down, down for some ignorance. Down for some ignorance. Down for some ignorance. Down for some ignorance.
Don't forget to eat. They might catch you lacking on 47th Street. Buy your mama address. Rock you right to sleep. Like a little baby.
Gotta keep a strap on me like a straight jacket, bitch, I might go crazy. Tuck your scary ass in bed, I'd like to sing to you a little ghetto lullaby. Grab your gun, light a blunt, pop a pillar, put a middle finger in the sky. Two niggas in a black Toyota with a strap that's loaded and I can't control them. Ready for a game of Texas Hold'em, meaning they ain't no joker and they might poke you for that white Sammy Sosa. Catch you lacking on your granny sofa. Home alone and he about to roll up. He don't know we about to roll up.
All for revenge and I'm down for some ignorance. Run up in this crib, lay down all the witnesses. Finna take a ride and we packing this a business trip. Me with the cannon in my hand, can you picture this?
How my pain in the past, behind my my face in this mask, foot to the gas, buck on the dash. I might spaz on your goof ass, don't make me blast. Shit come off safe if you don't open the safe. Toting an A, open the door, open his face with this bass. Blood on the carpet, no conscience. Beat a nigga like an 808, so heartless. Ran out the back door of the apartment, stashed the bloody gloves in the garbage. These nightmares turn us into monsters. Memories on 47th Street haunt us. You a ghost, fuck around with them fuck arounds. You go fuck around, get smoked.
Down for some ignorance. Down for some ignorance. Down for some ignorance. Down for some ignorance.
Niggas on your head, wanna see you bleeding. They just took a L, they gon' make it even. They know where you live, they gon' catch you while you leaving.
Is there a face in the staircase? Bitch, I might be tweaking. Listen to the voices in my head, welcome to my fucked up reality. Ever since you did that home invasion, cause the universe could feel your energy. Mentally ill, fuck Dr. Phil. All these pills ain't been a drill. Chirac. No oil, but it's been a drill. Let me show you how the jungle feel. Lions, tigers, bears, trying to dodge the feds. If the National Guard was actually hard, they wouldn't be scared. And these kids grew up with no moms and no dads. Blew up with these rhymes and no pads. Even if they did, they dope heads. On a one-way street to nowhere. Everything to prove with nothing to lose. You fools of Fox News couldn't walk a block in our shoes. They'll lay you
Down for some ignorance. Down for some ignorance. Down for some ignorance. Down for some ignorance.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Edson Baeza thanking you for listening to Cheap Pops Radio, sponsored by Cartoon U and JMT Shirts. Also, if you want to find us all across social media, look us up at Cheap Pops Radio on Twitter and Instagram. Look us up on Facebook at Cheap Pops Radio. And also, if you want to send us an email with questions or you want to know anything that's going on about the show, Cheap Pops Radio, HOU at AOL.com. Of you coming on as Larry Pisstle, even though he's a real piece of shit. He's a real piece of shit.
Larry's a piece of shit.
Yeah, but man, I was telling Thomas right before the call, I'm like, this man has a family, by God, and he's still doing these calls for us, you know?
Oh, yeah, man. Like I said, I love y'all, and I'll do anything, to help y'all out. I'm just glad to be a part of it. Like I said, I appreciate y'all getting Larry, boys.
It's crazy, man. Like, we didn't know. Like, when you meet people, you just never know where the friendship's going to take you. But, man, it's like 2 or 3 years now, and we're still here with you, man.
Exactly, man. Like I said, y'all are some of the greatest people I ever met, and I pray and hope I keep y'all friendship for life.
God damn, get some knee pads, son.
All right, brother. All right, man. We got to finish up the show. But, man, James, Bibby, man, I love you. Thank you, brother.
Oh, man, we love you too, man. Take care.
You too, bro. Bye.
All right,